Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours for it's April 12th, 2022. I spend time twice weekly, Tuesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, answering questions from people about job search, hiring more effectively, management, leadership, dealing with different workplace issues. And folks, if you've got a question for me, you can put it into chat, and I'd be very happy to answer your questions on these topics or anything else for that matter. But, I try to help people because folks need help. It's very obvious to me. People need help in their careers, and they try to figure it out on the fly. They don't really ask the right people for advice. They think they are, but the proof is really in the pudding with how few people take control of their careers. So I'm here to support you professionally and help you have the professional life and with that, the personal life that you really want to have. And I coach people professionally, and I do this as a way of having you get to know me and having a way of figuring out how I approach things. So, if you'd like to schedule time with me, you can visit my website and schedule a time for a free discovery call, a coaching session. You can visit my blog, which has more than 12,000 searchable posts on these topics. Find out about my courses, books, and guides. And I just released a new course over the weekend about starting a new job. Great advice to help you no matter what level professionally you are. I have one long interview that I did on the subject of starting a new role for senior level professionals, directors, C-suite professionals, VPs, people at that level professionally, but most of the course is applicable to anyone. I'll also remind you, you can subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. Also, you can download that app on Amazon. No BS Job Search Advice Radio is #1 in Apple Podcasts for job search with more than 2,300 episodes. And it's available, as I said, on Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, it's a video podcast, so you can watch me in that context. I'm also on Amazon Music, Google Play, or pretty much anywhere you can listen to a podcast. So if you're back in the gym, you're out for a long walk, you're doing something, I've got a very good podcast that you can listen to. Fridays, I release a long form interview, about a half hour in length. It is ideal for a workout at the gym. So subscribe. The show's out 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. As I said, Friday is a longer form interview. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you subscribe. And it has been consistently rated as a top career podcast, at least for the last 5 years. And I've been online with it for more than 2,300 episodes. No show has anywhere near as many as I've delivered over the years. So 5-day-a-week advice that will help you professionally. Now, I start off the show with a coffee toast. I've got my coffee here, and it's an acknowledgement that for those of you who grind, who do your jobs well, and think and do the mechanics of the job well. I've been listening to Michael Lewis's new podcast series. Bear with me. I just want to make sure I give you the right name. Against the Rules. And season 3 is about the experts. And he talks in the first episode about the people who are really the experts, who are the grinders, the ones who are 6 levels down from the people who get all the attention, but they're the ones who really know the job. So I want to acknowledge you for what you do, because you're the ones who are really the experts, not the ones up on top who get the credit. Thank you for your patience. I thought I would take a sip there. And I've got a bunch of questions that I can offer today that I received through email. And by the way, you can just put them into chat now, or you can message me through LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to respond to your questions. Okay. And then emailing it, you send it to thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. In the subject line, put the phrase office hours, so this way I can organize questions. I'd be very happy to answer them if you can't attend live. Okay. So here's the first question. What's the best way to search for prevailing wage jobs? I think let's start off with what's a prevailing wage job. And that is, it's a job that pays a prevailing wage rate, which is an average wage paid to similarly employed workers in a specific occupation in the area of employment that you're in. So it's one that pays an average rate for a position. So if there's a range of 110 to 150 and the average is 130, you're getting 130. So how to do that? Pretty simple. Number one is you have to know what the real prevailing wage rate is. And number two, since to some degree, less so now than in the past, but to some degree, your salary is predicated upon what you earn now. You have to always push for that number and better, and negotiate downward. So how do you find them? Ideally through referral, not by applying, but statistically, more than half of all positions. LinkedIn says 85% of positions. I've seen other statistics that say 70. So between 70 and 85% of positions are filled as a result of networking or connections. And of those, 70% of them, let's say it's 49%, because it's 70% of 70%, come as a result of introductions to people your network knows who you don't. So work your network, work your relationships. That's going to help you find prevailing rate jobs. Next question. What's the most common mistake to make when recruiting a staff? I think the most common one is that people are not clear about what's going to make someone successful in the role. They work off an old job description, never updated. Thus, their HR business partner, the recruiting resources, waste a lot of time in presenting people to them that don't fit the current thinking. And as a result, they waste a lot of time. Now, we can talk about hiring people who don't have the skills and hope that they'll grow in the job, or hiring someone who doesn't really care about what you do and what your firm does, or who's burned out for some reason. We can talk about all that stuff, but the most common mistake I think people make, most common mistake hiring managers make, is they don't get clear about the requirements of the position as they currently are, work from an old job description, don't share any new information, and thus they waste everyone's time. They bring people into the search to evaluate. Talk with so-and-so about this job. And tell me what you think, but without getting clear about what your thinking is about the role and what's going to be required. So they're basically interviewing by whim rather than with intention. So it's stuff like this, I think, are the big mistakes that firms make, that hiring managers make when recruiting a staff. I'm moving to the final stage of the interview process. They originally said they wanted me to return on the 28th, then asked me to come back on the 18th. Is this a good or bad thing that they wanted me to come sooner? Well, I would say it's going to be a good thing. And I say that because if it was a bad thing, they didn't have to meet you. They could have just basically contacted you and said, we found someone that was perfect, and no need to meet with you. We're going to be making them an offer. Good luck. Have a great day. So I view this as being a good thing on their part. They've accelerated their interviewing. I'm going to tell you, Don't assume that this is a guarantee that you're going to be hired. They're probably bringing a few people back. They want to make a decision. They're afraid of losing at least one of you. And thus, what they're looking for is to make a decision now. So consider it good news, but not a guarantee of anything. Okay. Let's go to the next question. How do you overcome ageism when looking for a job? And then someone asked me, why is ageism commonly accepted in hiring? I'll speak of my own experience with being a perpetrator of ageism when I was younger and I worked in recruiting. I worked for a third-party firm, and often I got the message pretty clearly from my clients that they didn't want to hire someone who was older. Like, they didn't say it directly, but they used all those indirect code phrases that signal that they really didn't want to hire someone older. They won't fit in. I'm not sure that they'll be happy taking a step backward in their career, even though they know what the job is. They're very clear about it, but we're not so sure that they're willing to take a step backward, even though they sat there and said very clearly, this is where I want to be now. I don't want to manage or lead. I want to be a doer again. I'm at a stage where I don't want that additional pressure. Now, how do you overcome ageism? Well, it starts off with connection with the interviewers. I was watching a movie last night. It's a poker movie called Rounders with Matt Damon, John Turturro, Ed Norton. It's on HBO Max. Terrific movie from probably 10, 15 years ago. So everyone looks a lot younger than they do now. And, it's a poker movie. And, there's a conversation that Matt Damon does as a monologue where he says, I don't play the cards, I play the players. And he looks for the signals that tip him off as to what kind of cards they have. And the same thing applies to you in an interview as a job hunter who's concerned about ageism. You're so concerned about the facts. You're so concerned with conveying your competence. You forget about displaying self-confidence, character, chemistry, charisma, that you care about the work and that you can connect with the interviewers along the way. It's not like if you're the 62-year-old woman and you're interviewing with a bunch of 28-year-olds, you're going to be their best friend, but you don't want to come across as mom or worse, grandmom to them, right? It's not about dressing trendy if you're the 67-year-old guy and interviewing with a bunch of 32-year-olds. It's about connecting with them as people and making it clear, hey, look, I'm not here to be your mom and dad, and I don't know anything better than you. I know what I know. I believe I can help, and especially with hiring managers where they're always looking and concerned about whether you're going to look over their shoulder and judge them and be a negative influence in the organization. You have to be aware of that and put it on the table. Say, look, I've helped a lot of people grow professionally. I don't force my ideas on them. I wait until I'm asked, unless I see something critically wrong. It's so rare I see something critically wrong. So you don't have to worry about me being a judge to you and telling everyone that you're doing things wrong or I know how to do this better. I don't. You know a lot more than I do about a lot of things. So I just want to support you, be great or being great, and help get the job done that you want me to get done. And speak with sincerity, with conviction, and with eye contact that basically says, you can trust me on this. I really don't want to hurt you professionally. I just want to do my job, go home, help your organization be effective, etc. Okay? What should I tell a customer when they say, Oh, I love this one. What should I tell a customer when they say, "Can I speak to your supervisor?" The correct answer is, "Sure, hold on one second. I'll get them on the line." I'll speak of my own experience because I've been that person where I know the person I'm talking to can only say no. That's as far as their authority goes. They follow an institutional line of thinking where they've been told, just refuse them, get them off the phone, they'll go away. And that's not good enough for me sometimes. So there was my mobile phone carrier. I saw an ad that was very explicit. They'd offered $1,000 toward a new phone. And they said I didn't deserve that phone because I forgot what the excuse was, nor is it particularly important. I qualified for that phone. And, it took a few hours of time over more than one occasion to get what I was entitled to. But I escalated it because I knew that the person I was talking to couldn't say yes. And I had a screenshot and I had a URL to a web page that said I was. So the idea very simply is once you know you can't satisfy this person, rather than arguing, just simply go, "Sure, hold on 1 minute. I'll get them on. If for some reason there's a delay, I'll come back to you and let you know, and I'll stay on with you so you don't think I'm hanging up the phone. I'll be there with you, so just hang in there, and I'll be back in about 30 seconds if there's going to be a delay." That's what you do. As someone who's lost their job, have you ever had a former employer try to fight your unemployment claim? My son did. It was bizarre. He was in New York, and at that time he was probably 19 years old and working for a dentist in a dental office. He was the office manager at 19, and she qualified as an essential worker. He was someone who has an asthma history. And under one New York state law, he was entitled to special care because he had a pre-existing medical condition that would kill him if he caught COVID. And she was entitled to have her workforce come in because she was an essential worker. So he politely said, I'll log in remotely. I'll do everything remote. I have no problem doing that. And she insisted he come to the office. And he recorded messages from her threatening him. And he basically said, "I'm not willing to do it." They sent texts to one another. So it was easy to also follow that train of thought. And she contested his unemployment. He was collecting the supplemental unemployment insurance that the government was offering, and she was concerned her rates would go up. And apparently, she did this with regularity with people who left. And he attended multiple hearings and won his claim. So he got doctor's notes confirming his. She demanded a doctor's note to verify that he had this history. He provided one from his doctor in North Carolina, where we lived and where he lived until he moved to New York. And she said, "Why don't you have a doctor here?" I said, "He's seen me for 10 years. I've been pretty healthy so far, but I know I have an asthma history, and this person attests to it. So this person I see locally doesn't know me like the person who's seen me for 10 years." And he won his claim. So yes, it can happen, and just very calmly fight it and know the law and know what's required of you so that in this way you can win your claim. I'm going to remind you that if you have a question for me about job search, hiring better, management, leadership, or want advice about a particular workplace issue, put your question or scenario in the chat. I'd be very happy to answer your question. Also, my website is thebiggamehunter.us. You can schedule time for a free discovery call, a coaching session, visit my blog, find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's a lot there to help you. And also subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube and Amazon. No BS Job Search Advice Radio, wherever you listen to podcasts. There's going to be a lot there that can help you. Let's go to the next question. How do I explain to a hiring manager why I omitted a position on my resume that closely aligns with what they do? It was a mistake. Basically, what you say is, in the editing process, I made a mistake. I inadvertently deleted something that should have been there, and it's probably the most important part of my background related to your job. So I apologize. This is the accurate resume, and you send it to them. Again, because I assume you don't have an interview. And if you uploaded it to an applicant tracking system, you might need to re-upload it, make a small change, or use a second email address when you do it. Forward the second email address to your primary, so this way they can see it. And you might just, if you're asked for comments or additional information, say, I uploaded my resume previously, and in the editing process, I missed the mistake that my resume writer made, where they inadvertently deleted a position that was closely aligned with your job. Please review my resume. I hope to have a chance to meet with you. That's the way to handle it. How much time should my notice period be? Some companies have 2 or 3 months. What, according to you, should be the notice period? So I'm going to start off with, in the U.S., it's common to give 2 weeks notice. Sometimes 3 is appropriate if you're finishing up some work and it has a deadline, and leaving the project prematurely will have an adverse impact on the success of the project and affect the remaining people who are there. Now, in Europe, it's different. In Europe, it's very common to have 3 months as a notice period. Again, different countries have different rules. And I know someone I've been working with had to give 3 months notice before leaving his position with a firm. So 2 to 3 weeks is most common in the US. Don't go to a month. 2 to 3 weeks, generally 2, is the most common imaginable. How can I get more LinkedIn connections that will help me find a job? Answer this question. Why should they help you find a job? What's in it for them? What do they really know about you that's going to make them stop everything and help you find a job? Do they really know you except as a connection on LinkedIn? Do they know anything about your work, your capabilities, anything about? Have you ever spoken to them? If they are your real friends and professional colleagues, present or former, excuse me, they're more likely to help than the, in my case, 26 or 27,000 first level connections who generally reached out to me and I've never heard from again. So, why should I help them except I share content and information with people so that they learn from me? And from your standpoint, if you could answer that question, what's in it for them? Why should they help you? You have a shot of getting their help because you explain it to them. Otherwise, you're kidding yourself. They have no reason to do it any more than you've helped other people in the past who you don't really know in finding a job as well. How do you close an interview that takes a longer time? So I'm going to translate that into, let's say I'm on the calendar for 30 minutes and we're 40 minutes in, and there you've got a head of steam going, and they're not ready to end it. You have a decision to make. And the decision is, do you really have time that you can go longer? If so, don't end it. Just go with the flow. They like what they're hearing. Otherwise, they would have ended it. On the other hand, let's assume you have an appointment that backs up on this one, and you have to be available for that one. You can pause for a second and, as you finish answering a question and say, when I was asked to schedule this appointment, I was asked to set aside 30 minutes. And I did that with a little bit of cushion, but I have another appointment that's due to start in 5 minutes over Zoom. So if you like, let's reschedule a continuation of this conversation and continue the call or the session or the what have you. Does that work for you? And everyone will say yes because they ran long, not you. So if you can go longer, great. If you can't, very politely say, I was asked to set aside this amount of time, and I did plus, and I'm starting to bump up against another appointment that I have. So can we schedule a continuation of this conversation so that you can complete what you need? Okay. Does ZipRecruiter have a higher quality of jobs than Indeed? No. Let's go to the next question. It's a job board. People post jobs there. I don't know what you mean higher quality. Most people think that that means it fits them. So it has jobs there. Indeed has jobs. Look for jobs that fit you. You may find some overlap, but the reality is it's a job board. It's a list of positions that firms have posted there. Higher quality? Probably not. It has jobs. What does it mean? This is going to be the last question for tonight. What does it mean when my job application is put on hold because the company is finding a second headcount with complementary skills to the first, yet to accept the job offer? I'm sorry. Let me read this again. What does it mean when my job application is put on hold because the company is finding a second headcount for a complementary skill to the first? Are they still interested in me? This person is second headcount. It's hard to tell. If I'm understanding the scenario correctly, what's happened is you're in the second group. Oh, I understand now. You're in the second group. You've been put on hold. They're trying to hire someone for one headcount. You're in the second group and you've been put on hold. The answer is they're probably not interested because you're in that group that they're focusing on now. They've put you on hold. Maybe they want to talk to more people and not just simply you. They're bringing in competition. I wouldn't bet on them bringing you on board. So are they interested? It's hard to tell, but the probability is no. So I'm going to close things out and say, thanks for making time today. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm called the Big Game Hunter, stemming from my time in recruiting when I used to hunt down leaders in staff organizations. And I did it for more than 40 years and filled 1,200 plus full-time positions, plus consulting assignments. I've got an MSW from Fordham, postgraduate psychoanalytic training from the Institute of Modern Psychoanalysis in New York. I ran men's retreats for the Mankind Project, an international men's organization that helps men live purposeful lives of integrity, generosity, accountability, and much more. I'll just simply say to you, I hope I've been helpful to you. If you've got a question for next time, send it to me in one of a number of ways. You can message it to me through LinkedIn or YouTube or my Facebook page, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. Send it to me as a message any place you like. LinkedIn is best, though. So connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Let me know that you'd like to send me a message or where you heard about me. I just like knowing I'm helping some folks. And once we're connected, you'll receive a lot of great content to support you. Also, subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube, No BS Job Search Advice Radio, wherever you listen to podcasts. They both are a phenomenal resource that will help you. Lastly, visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us, where you can schedule time for a free discovery call or schedule time for coaching. Find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's a lot there that'll help you. And if this isn't the right time to do that, just put that address in your phone, thebiggamehunter.us, and my name, Jeff Altman. Maybe in the notes field, you put the phrase job search blog, and you'll be able to find me in the future. Have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.